I wouldn't go down like the technical route of this is how you DJ or anything like that. You can figure that out for yourself on YouTube, right? Count to four times, press play, right? What I would say is just be careful who you hang out with. Like, I've lost plenty of friends. I've had friends go to fucking prison. I've had, friends that were just like complete arseholes to my friends. Just be careful who you hang out with. It's that, everyone says like you're the result of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And they go, yeah, that's probably true, but they don't really like actually do anything about that, right? And especially when you're young, there will be people that like take advantage of you because and not pay you well or things like that. I had that as well. You won't know it until other people tell you if someone's a bad person or anything like that. I like the saying that propaganda works on you as well, right? We always just talk about like propaganda and I don't know, North Korea or all the enemy states, right? There's propaganda here too. You just don't know it's working on you. That's why it works on them as well. And so it's kind of similar when you're like in a group of people. All the things you hear from them, it works on you as well, right? And so sometimes you need someone outside of your network to be like, Brandon, why the fuck are you hanging out with these people? Right? And so you need all that different perspective, right? That's probably the best bit of advice I'd give is just make sure who you hang out with, because I had people that were terrible influences on me, but I had people that were really, really good influences on me as well, and those are the ones that stuck around, that lasted the longest, that I'm still friends with now. The ones that are terrible influences, you gotta cut them off real quick. Get used to it.
They're usually the fun ones.
Yeah, they're the fun ones. That's why you hang out with them. Well, it's just networking. Like, each person you meet is like another contact, and that person knows another person, that person knows another person, that person knows another person. Then you kind of build up that network. And I get asked by like because I haven't DJed in like 3 years. I get asked by like up and coming DJs like, why don't I get booked? Like, I'm a really good DJ, and it could be true. That could be a really great DJ. But the fact of the matter is that you book people that are in the cross section of the Venn diagram, which is they're a good DJ and I want to hang out with them. And I was kind of fun enough that more often than not at the start. At the end, I was very unfun to be around. But at the start, I was a good DJ and people liked to party with me. And so when they go like, who are we booking tonight? That just leaned towards me. There were countless messages I got where they're like, yeah, like, you're really fucking fun. Do you want to play this week? Do you want to play every week? And that's really where all that comes from, because you could be like the best DJ on earth, but if people just don't want to party with you, the event that they're selling is a party. And so you've got to fit into that product, right? I was an okay DJ. I was pretty good. Better than average. Not incredible. There's obviously plenty more talented DJs than there were at my time, even obviously now, because I don't DJ anymore. But a lot of them just didn't have that kind of networking skill, which is an unfortunate truth, but you kind of just got to accept reality and deal with it, right? You get good at it, and then you can time things well, and you know how they react to things, but then there's also the contrast too, which is like you go from the ego of 1,500 people. I pick what you listen to next. I pick how you feel. I pick what you say. I know when you say it. And you go from that level of control, which almost feels like a god, basically, for like 4 hours. And then you get in the back of an Uber, you drive home, it's dead silent, and no one's paying attention to you anymore. And so there's that contrast between you walk off stage and you're in the back of an Uber and you listen to 96 FM. And you're stuck at a red light. Things like that. So there's that weird contrast as well. It depends what you like. So I have a proclivity to make more impulsive emotional decisions. So that's why I like drinking a lot and partying a lot and girls and things like that. If you're a more logical person, with more often than not, the more like technical DJs that really consider it like an art form and not like an attention-seeking thing, which for me was an attention-seeking thing. I like the art form as well, but there was a balance of both. If you're more on the kind of like emotional side, which is most artists, to be honest, you're pretty much set up for failure because you're in an environment where the likelihood and the opportunity to just make impulsive emotional decisions and drink a lot and party a lot, it's just the easiest possible option. Actually not doing that is remarkably hard. You're not set up for success in that sense. And so the easiest thing to do is just drink a lot and party a lot, put on a lot of weight, hang out with a bunch of girls, hang out with a bunch of bad people, do a bunch of bad things, because it's the easiest option. There's the lowest resistance to do that. Then there's also like the dark side of that, which is like if you keep doing that for too long, then there's like a tax and a debt you have to pay with a compounding interest, which is you got all this weight to lose, you've hung out with all the wrong people, there's all these like bad elements to it as well, right? So on Instagram and stuff, it looks like fun, and I'd say that by far I'm monumentally happier now not being in that space, just mentally, physically, like every single possible aspect you can think of, than I was then. It's just because in that moment it's like, yeah, you're great, but it's also feel like you're drinking, and you set the bar like too high every single time, right? At the start of my DJ career, I'd be over the moon playing to a empty bar and the staff were there. I was just happy to do my thing. And then I'd play in front of like 1,000 people for 5 hours, like main stage at Metro's Frio, every Saturday night for 2 years. I hated it. I'm like, there's only 1,000 people here. This is a fucking waste of my time. Things like that. Because the bar just keeps getting raised, right? It's essentially like progressive overload. The other thing as well is there's rats where like you can feed a rat a non-lethal dose of poison, and then you can keep increasing it until the rat can eat what would have originally been a lethal dose of rat poison. And you drink more and you do more and things like that. And I eventually just became this fucking rat that you couldn't kill because I've had all the poison. You couldn't kill me anymore. And so all these bars are getting raised, and then you don't really enjoy anything anymore. Because the contrast between where you're at when you're like partying really hard and then just like sitting on a couch from the back of an Uber, the contrast is just, it's too fucking high. It's just like, and you had to keep raising the bar every single time. So there's that side to it as well. Like that happened with me. Like, I've told this story a billion fucking times, so I don't want to rant about it. I had this mixtape called Literally Fuck Genres that like went viral. It was on like every single like EDM media publication, did like 2 tours of Australia for all this stuff. It was like a big thing. I still get talked to about it to this day, and it was really like a one-hit wonder thing. And so after that I was like, holy fuck, what am I meant to do after this? Like this is the thing. And then it was all kind of just like that really like was the peak. And then everything after that I'm like, well, how am I meant to beat that? But there's this book where it basically talks about how you go through like seasons of life, and artists in particular, they'll have like the 18 to let's say like 24, 25, 26 season where they'll peak somewhere around there, but then after that their life, it's kind of like that they already peaked and they're already trying to chase that peak again, but they can't get there. And sometimes people can't transition to something else because their identity is already tied to something else. And so I've had that as well, where like my fucking Instagram username's still Wilco, like it's still in there, right? I haven't DJed in like 3 years, Wilco only child, right? And so there's still that, and I was journaling about this the other day, where there's that weird, I was still Wilco from 18 to what, 24 or 25, which is like 25% of the days that I've been alive was that thing, right? And so if you transition like after that, there's still that bit there where you're like, it's still kind of there, even though I don't really like it and I don't want to be that person, because so much of your identity from like 18 to 25 was just this thing that it's like really hard and weird to let go of and like transition out of it, because I don't do any of that shit anymore, at least not to the volume that I did at that point in time. There's that weird like identity crisis. It's like a quarter life identity crisis essentially. Yeah, it's really interesting how it kind of works out. I think about it all the time.